Well, my children got to a point, they were teenagers when I was actually living outdoors in Portland. And I mean, when I went homeless, it was just kind of, I was kicking it. I was having fun. I was hanging around, there was hippie drummers and there was, weird people out there that do crazy things. And I was into that. I was adventure. It was an adventure. Later on, I realized I became the homeless person mentally and emotionally. I became homeless in my state of mind.
Exactly.
And when that happened, I was no longer able to make sense of, how am I supposed to get back? How am I supposed to get out of this? It didn't make sense. And so then the fear and the panic set in, but it was so complicated by my feelings of shame because my children didn't want to talk to me on the phone anymore. And near the holidays, the last thing in the world anybody wants is for somebody that's all bummed out and maybe even mad about something. You don't want to talk to them. You're in a great mood. Yeah,
because you're going to bring them down.
Yeah, man, and a lot of us are walking around with our own baggage in our own ways. And mental illness it has no discretion, and it's referred to it as the invisible illness, because
it is
usually, unless I describe it to you, you don't know I got it.
Yeah, you don't know. That's what I said. A lot of people are just learning. Like, so many people like butterfly. Oh, back to the seasonal affective disorder. They're like, man, I did not know that's what I was going through. Everybody has a bout of it at some time or another. They might have a bad relationship and it's during that time, and then the holidays trigger that for them. I particularly do not like when it starts to get dark early. It's something about that. I don't know. My spirit just doesn't rest well with it.
Yeah.
So to be a homeless person, especially on, where the time does change, to combine that with, you're on the ground or even in a shelter and you have to watch people hustling, bustling, going back and forth past you with their shopping bags and things, and then people looking down on you. So they're not wanting to share any money. They're not doing anything. But something that you said earlier, when you said, I'm not supposed to be here, that was a really strong statement, because there are so many homeless people who were very successful people that ended up being homeless, and they're thinking the same thing, so then of course there are some that just don't want to do the things that they're supposed to be doing, and just, don't care about life. But then there's the Waynes, the Wayne Shipmans. And also, have you heard of Ted Williams, the man with the golden voice? Have you ever heard of him?
I think so. He's a homeless guy, but he has like this amazing booming voice.
Yes. And he was homeless, but he had drug and alcohol problems and stuff like that. But he still was originally on a radio station and all that kind of stuff. But the drugs and the alcohol and his mental health was stronger than his amazing golden voice. And he ended up being homeless, but he was rediscovered and, got back on the radio and stuff. However, he did not address everything like he should have. Now, he's been sober for many years and everything, but it's still the mental part that even myself with my anxiety and like I said, the seasonal affective disorder, we have to be so strong in our thinking. And like I said, people, like people say, it's positive thinking. You got to be positive. You got to be positive. Right. It's so easy for you to say that.
It's like an anecdote for everything.
Yes,
right
it's
now.
not, but it's not. For someone who's struggling with alcohol and drugs and mental illness and stuff like that, it's work for us to keep negative thoughts out. So people don't understand that. And with Ted, that's what happened.
Please revisit. You said it earlier so beautifully. I've heard mental health stuff and I've heard positive addictive stuff for 30 years, but I've never heard it the way you said it. Would you please?
And I said it was just people don't understand. The hard work is getting rid of the negative thoughts for us. It's thinking positive is easy. Getting rid of negative thoughts is the hardest work.
That's
That
where
yes.
I got stuck.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just bipolar there, your
Mm-hmm.
butterfly. This is, when you said that earlier, I had to
Mm-hmm.
make you stop, didn't I? I said, "What'd you
Yes.
just say? What'd you
Yeah.
just say?"
You did.
Listen, man, we're talking about seasonal affective disorder, and
Mm-hmm.
people don't even know that's what it's called.
Yes.
But the negative thoughts that start coming in our mind, whatever
Yes.
the holiday occasion
Mm-hmm.
is the letdown. Now, this right here, you might as
Mm-hmm.
well say this is Tony Robbins 101. He talks about the blueprint.
Uh-huh.
Everybody has a blueprint. Now,
Right.
I've got a blueprint the way I think my life should be.
Right.
And when I'm not up to that, when my life doesn't look like that, or I'm a semi-truck driver, when I get behind in my schedule and traffic's slowing me down, I'm like beating on the steering wheel until I realize this is happening and all I can do is slow down.
Exactly.
But there's a blueprint that our loved ones carry for us, that our friends carry for us.
Mm-hmm.
Not only the coworkers that know us, but everybody walking by on the street looks at you and they think they know what your blueprint should be.
Exactly, because there's a prejudgment.
Can't live up to it. Yes.
Mm-hmm. There's
exactly.
a prejudgment. And that's why sometimes you have people that don't want to give homeless people money and stuff. And you're just a drug addict and you're just an alcoholic and stuff, where that is not true. There's so many successful people, mentally and physically and, articulate and all kind of things that end up for some reason on the street. Like, Ted with the golden voice. And I don't know if you know the R&B singer Kim. When you get a chance, you can look him up, Kem. He was homeless. He is now one of the top, R&B singers out there. Yeah, he went through everything he went through. Mm-hmm.
One reason a lot of people skyrocket from homelessness to anything they want in the world is because when we're out there, we say we got to hit rock bottom, right, to bounce back up.
Because where else you want to go? But I don't.
There's a lot of times where you think you've hit rock bottom, and the worst thing in the world you can let come out of your mouth is like, it can't get worse than this. Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
You just invited Murphy to come sit on your couch. That's what
wow.
A lot of guys talk about Murphy, Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law.
Les Brown digs in it, man. He says, you just invited Murphy to come sit on your couch. He's going to be sitting there when you get home.
That's a good saying. So did you ever, like, during that time frame, especially during the depression part, did you even let your mind think that for a little bit and then had to slap yourself and say, wait a minute, I shouldn't be thinking that this can't get worse?
Well, yeah, because when I would actually... There were certain times when I just had no choice but to actually see myself for what was really going on.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I was trying to say when you mentioned that rap guy or the recording artist.
Mm-hmm. Kim. Mm-hmm.
When
R&B.
we become homeless, there's no more title. I'm not a maintenance technician. I'm not a semi-truck driver. I'm not a recording artist. I'm not an executive.
You don't have a golden voice anymore.
I'm not a golden voice. I'm not a daddy. I'm not your friend. I am a homeless man, quote unquote. When that sets in, we're given a choice that we don't have to face usually any other time in our life. When I was homeless, it wasn't homeless that had me sitting on the bench looking at everyone else wondering, why am I here? I'm not supposed to be here. It was my mental health.
Exactly.
And you have a podcast also, which I listen to. It's called What is Mental Health and What is Mental Illness? And you talk about the difference between what is mental health and what is mental illness. Yeah. When I realized I was no longer just suffering from a bad attitude at work or depression because my children didn't want to talk to me, or my anger, like my everyday, I was going through these anger spells. I was just, I was walking around town just yelling out loud, cussing out loud, and I didn't even know what was going on.
Right.
It was an illness.
Yes.
And when I realized I actually had a mental illness relating to the holidays, and like Father's Day used to be the big one, but then that winter, holidays came. And this terrible dread came over me, and I just went, you know what? I'm 37 years old, and
Mm-hmm.
this is who I am right now. This is me. This is it.
Right.
And when I had to face that, I had to make the decision because Butterfly, I almost did it. I almost,
wow.
I mean, at my campsite out in the woods, I actually had a rope in a tree, and I was thinking
Wow.
about it for several days. I watched that rope every day, and I went to bed
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it. One morning I got up and I cut it down. Not only did I cut it down, I cut it up into little pieces.
Wow.
And I decided that morning, this is the end of my story. Not only just,
Mm-hmm.
I could have hung myself and be done, but you know what? I knew my children were going to find out, and every one of them was going to tell their children and everyone else. He was a
Mm-hmm.
loser. He was homeless. He is
Mm-hmm.
not my dad. He's a disgrace. And I
Mm-hmm.
figured, you know what? They may never talk to me again, but when I do pass away, I'm going to die fighting. I'm going to die
Exactly.
fighting for my own dignity. I'm going to find a way to have a feeling of self-worth about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And to answer your question, how did I cope with the holidays?
Exactly.
I have no choice because I still have
Mm-hmm.
very fragmented relationships with my children.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the relatives from the distant past, I don't even know where they live anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So when the holidays come up, it can't be about them.
Exactly.
And
That's what I was getting ready to say.
It can't be about them. And it's not about Christmas. It's not about Thanksgiving. It's not about them.
Mm-hmm.
It's about me keeping centered on what my values are, which is something I had to actually create along the way.
Right.
And I had to figure out, we keep hearing everybody say, you got to set your boundaries. Well, I didn't know what my boundaries were. I had to figure that out.
Exactly. And it's a task. It's a task. And when you said, you cut down that rope and you cut it into little pieces, that is symbolizing what your life is in now. You're putting all the pieces together now. It's been some years, but you're putting the pieces together. Right now, it's bad, if your kids are not talking to you right now, but you are here on Views from a Butterfly podcast, and this is a story that's going all over the world, telling that story. I would not know Wayne Shipman had you gone on that way and thought that you were that worthless and hung yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you did know.
By the way, one reason I had that rope in the tree, there's two things before we leave I must tell your people.
Okay.
I had that rope in the tree not because of who I had become or what happened to me or that I was homeless. I didn't want to see the future. If this was going to be my future and I couldn't find a way out and I couldn't find a way to fix everything, I didn't want that to be, I wasn't going to experience. And it wasn't just homelessness. I wasn't going to live as a miserable, angry, defeated man, And when I cut the rope down, I decided I'm going to find a way to become the man that I want to be. Even if that means I can't get the acceptance from my children.
Exactly.
If I can't get, forgiveness, and if none of that stuff happens, then I had to set my mind to where, you know what? I'm okay with this. And if I could throw it out, I would say that's Oprah Winfrey one-on-one.
That sounds like
your cup has to runneth over before you have anything to give away.
That's right.
If your cup is empty and somebody comes to you wanting something, it causes anxiety. You ain't got nothing to give, and here's this man wanting something. Well, my children wanted a father. They wanted someone that they could show their friends on Facebook. That's my dad.
Right. But you didn't even know who you were at the time. So
I didn't know who I was.
Exactly. So you can't be, something for someone else until you're something to yourself. Yep. So that, but when you kept saying you were sitting there and it's like, hey, this is not me. How did I get here? I'm not supposed to be here. When you cut down that rope, you knew that. You knew that I'm not supposed to be here. This is not my life, and you were able to start seeing things and, getting clarity and stuff like that. And we still struggle, we still struggle with, with different types of mental illness. People just think that it has this look to it, and it doesn't.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
You're referring to comics
That's
and movies and TV that now I'm not saying that there are some people who have a certain type of illness and you see them and go, okay, they are
yeah, that's what
struggling.
that is.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what that is. They are struggling, and they either don't have someone in their life or, to help them, or they are so far gone that they don't even have the strength or the know-how or the mental moments of clarity to cut down the rope like you did,
I
so.
think it happened because I waited long enough to think it through.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
two parting
Wow.
messages of
Thank you,
a
Wayne. This has
beautiful.
been a beautiful, beautiful interview. And please, there's so much more to your story that I want to share. Whenever you get a chance, just hit me up and we're gonna chit chat right like we did just now and share it because I can't wait to hear the Wayne Shipman story and let me know when the book comes out because you got to give me the first one besides your wife and stuff. I want to get one, and
Well, I can
signed
tell
and
you
everything.
the Shipman ending of the story that
Uh-huh.
turned how I found a way to turn this into a beautiful thing. First of all, I've got
Mhm.
a homeless message, and I got a message for
Mhm.
everyone that's struggling with this thing they call seasonal affective disorder or whatever you
Thank
think
you.
it might be.
Right.
So there's the biggest problem when it comes to trying to understand our feelings or our
Mhm.
thinking is, first of all, we don't know what the problem is.
Exactly.
Second of all, we're around loved ones and friends and people at work that say things like, you know what, just don't let it bother you. Or you're a
Mhm.
parent, you don't have time to cry about this. Or
Mhm.
you're at work right now, you need to suck it up and get this done. Well, and then the third thing is we often can't
Mhm.
explain our feelings to our doctors or our counselors
Mhm.
so that they can properly diagnose.
Exactly.
And what that
Exactly.
means is the vocabulary to explain these things comes through time, but it comes through searching yourself. What do you really
Exactly.
feel and think about these things,
Mhm.
not what
And you have
everybody
to be
says
willing
you
to be
should?
vulnerable to be able
Yes.
to sit.
Be willing, yeah.
Mhm. You
And
have
my
to be
message
willing
to
to.
the homeless, I can't really speak to the homeless because they're not listening to your podcast yet,
Mhm. Okay, but
but
wait a minute. How do
their
you know?
loved ones
Somebody
are.
might have, but somebody might be
Hey,
paying for their phone like you
true.
did to hear it, So
They will
please.
be because I'm gonna be telling them about it. But
Oh.
but but we know their loved ones and friends are listening, and so
Mhm.
the message I'm trying to tell everyone, especially winter's coming, and you said it's getting dark and cold,
Mhm.
especially because of COVID right now. There's just certain things we can't do.
Exactly.
But I want everyone to know, the loved ones, the friends, and everybody that's even thinking about like what's them homeless people doing out there.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people that are preparing right now for the time that we can make the move.
Yeah.
And we're here. I mean, not only the advocates, but people there's a
Mhm.
lot of people that just want to do something for the homeless. There's
Yes.
millions of people planning and anxiously waiting for the green light to get back out in the trenches.
Mhm.
And so what we're trying to do is just pass the message of hope. And I heard it said one time, and I can end with this.
Okay.
I heard an explanation of hope that says, and it's from like one of the ancient translations of like the original Greek language or something, right? A
Uh-huh.
philosopher said, hope is when you have a strong rope secured.
Mm.
And
Okay.
so in my case, I had a strong rope secured to a tree limb.
Right, but with the
And that
wrong
was my hope.
end.
My hope was the end.
Mhm. Right. Yeah, with the
And the
wrong
hope
end.
message is we're coming. We're gearing up. We're coming. We still love the homeless people. We still want to get out there and, find them. And I drive. I see this. I'm in a semi truck and I see them everywhere. And I just like,
Mhm.
oh brother, I'm just blowing them a kiss because that's all I can do.
Mhm. Mhm.
But we're
Mhm.
here. We're waiting, and people like you and me, we're having conversations, and
Yes.
that's what starts awareness, and that's what we got to
Mhm.
do. That's all we got to do.
Yeah. Well, Wayne, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I am going to seek you out again to come back on here and share some more of your story. I appreciate you so much, and you keep strong in your path to healing yourself and spreading your message to help heal others. Thank you so much, and we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me on here.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
All right. Bye bye. All right, you guys, you got to hear that beautiful story from Wayne. Hopefully, he'll do us the pleasure of coming back on and sharing some more of his story. If you want to leave a message for Wayne, you can do it via my voice message at anchor.fm/ views from a butterfly / voice message, or you can send an email to me. Viewsfromabutterfly@gmail.com, and I will surely make sure that he gets the message. Until next time, wrapping my wings around you all, I got you.